So we are going to talk to Chief Ron Vitello, Senior Advisor at the Department of Homeland Security and U.S. Customs and Border Protection. He's also the former National Chief of the U.S. Border Patrol. Thank you very much for being here. What a tense situation we're dealing with here. You know, the Justice Department issuing subpoenas this week to Mayor Frey, Governor Walz, and other Democratic leaders in Minnesota, accusing them of obstructing immigration enforcement in the state. So let's start here. You know, what would you need from state and local leadership to enforce operations? And what do you make of what is happening with law enforcement, talking and sometimes not talking?
I think there are two major things that would make a huge difference in Minneapolis right now. The activism, when these protests turn into riots or when they're impeding operations, the local and state police departments should go out there and stop the violence, stop the impeding, stop when they're putting hands on law enforcement officers or they're blocking traffic. Those state and locals could help with that situation immediately. It wouldn't require them to do anything on the immigration context, but they could keep those officers and agents safe on the front line while they perform their duties. The other thing that they can do, like happens in a lot of states and like has happened in some of these operations, right? You think about Memphis, New Orleans, Charlotte, North Carolina. The state locals helped in the context of the jail. So there are many people in Minneapolis, St. Paul that are in the country illegally who have also committed crimes and find themselves in the state and local jails in that community. Those local sheriffs, the local jurisdictions in the state could reach out and tell ICE, like, this is the number of people we have that are foreign born, that are subject to deportation, and allow those people to be apprehended in the context of a safe facility like a jail. That would make a huge difference with regard to the need to remove these people and to do it safely without impacting the jobs, the businesses, the traffic, and certainly these protesters that get in the way of law enforcement operations.
You're right. Everybody's trying to come up with a solution here, but I got to ask you about this hot topic about the 5-year-old child. On Wednesday, this 5-year-old boy that was arriving from preschool in Minnesota was taken by federal agents with his father to a detention facility in San Antonio, Texas. The superintendent of the 5-year-old Liam Ramos's school district accused ICE of using the boy as, quote, bait and questioned his detainment. Let's listen.
We really just want children to be reading and writing and learning science and you know, all of the subject areas. And so that is what prompted me to speak out, is because I had heard that the approach was supposed to be targeting hardened criminals or violent criminals and that they weren't targeting children.
So, you know, that picture of the little boy has broken everybody's heart. And the Department of Homeland Security disputed the claims, saying that ICE did not target the child and that he was abandoned by his father, who fled on foot. So we're getting to the bottom of that. Attorneys representing the family and the school district denied that Liam was abandoned by his father. So there's that statement. We're hearing the other side. What do you make of this situation? Did ICE officers handle this correctly, in your opinion?
Absolutely, they did. The father was the target here. The father abandoned his own child in public near the school. What the agents did was take him into custody and make sure he was cared for and safe until an appropriate adult and his family could take custody of him. And it turns out that that custody now is his own dad, who's in a detention center. His dad left him behind. The agents of ICE were going after his dad because he's wanted in the context of his immigration status. And so the blame here falls on that individual who was wanted by ICE officials and left his kid behind. These are unfortunate situations, but let's not forget that there are millions of people in the United States that were allowed to come here undervetted. Many of them are committing crimes in the communities like Minneapolis, St. Paul, and it's the job of the front line of ICE and CBP to find these folks and send them on a path for removal. And this boy's dad did irresponsible things with regard to his safety, and the ICE agents did the best they could in that situation.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.